GOP has shown nothing but disdain for the real needs of actual women. Consider what they stand for: allowing bosses and insurance companies to discriminate against women, forcing raped women to carry their rapist fetus, requiring insurance coverage for Viagra, but not for the pill, defunding Planned Parenthood, Head Start, childcare, and services for domestic abuse victims, conscripting doctors to violate women with medically unnecessary procedures, and redefining rape so more rapists walk free. That's the GOP's awful agenda, and American women know it.
And I'm glad it was presented by one of the most radical leftist women in America, Katrina vanden Heuvel. Joining us now is quite the opposite, I'm happy to say, Carly Fiorina, former CEO of Hewlett-Packard. And Carly, welcome to the show.
It's great to be with you. Thank you for having me.
Well, you got a great new organization that you just launched, which targets women in an effort to win in 2014 and, of course, in 2016. And it's called the Unlocking Potential Project. How do you go about combating this, what you just heard, quite frankly, from Carly Fiorina?
Well,
from Katrina vanden Heuvel.
Well, so first, it sounds terrible, doesn't it? I mean, it sounds awful. And if that's all you knew, heck, I'd vote against the GOP too. Of course, it's all lies. It's lies. It's shameless, baseless propaganda. So the first thing we have to do is say it like it is. Everything she just said is a lie. Step one. Step two, we have to give women the facts. There are many facts, but let's just start with a few of these. Women have suffered under liberal policies and the Obama administration. Women do not, for example, lack access to free birth control. They do not lack access to abortion. What they do lack access now to, as a result of Obamacare, in too many cases, is their doctor. What they do lack access to, in too many cases, is their hospital. What they do lack access to, in too many cases, is procedures that their doctors would recommend. What they lack access to is opportunity. More women are dropping out of the workforce than ever before. The May jobs report, for example, another 260,000 women dropped out of the labor force. Women's participation rates in today's workforce are at all-time record low levels. More women are living in poverty. More women are living in dependence. Women are suffering under liberal policies. And so we have to talk about that, and then we have to talk about why women do better under conservative policies like entrepreneurship. How do we help small businesses and entrepreneurs thrive? Because women make great entrepreneurs. How we support equal pay for equal work? Of course we do. And the biggest impediment to equal pay for equal work is the seniority system, which pays for time and grade. And guess who supports the seniority system? The unions. The government pays on seniority. I mean, every one of the lies the Democrats tell can be combated, but we have to do that, and that's what we are doing at a grassroots level.
Well, it's so important, because I don't know how many times I've sat here, Carly, and said, why aren't the Republicans saying what I'm saying, or if I have a guest on, saying what you're saying? And in your case, I'll say it again. I mean, you presented it in probably in a minute and a half, and you would raise the eyebrow of any woman who legitimately has intellectual honesty and says to themselves, you know what, maybe I need to really do what's best for me and listen to both sides, because as you portrayed it, which is the true portrayal, women aren't doing so good, and it's because of the policies that are in existence today. So I'll ask you, why can't Republicans get that message out now? Because I don't hear it from them.
Well, that's really why I decided to launch this effort. It started when I gave a speech at CPAC earlier this year, where I took on the war on women directly, as I just did with you, and then went on to say that every issue is a woman's issue. It's ridiculous for the liberals to insult us by assuming that, one, all we care about is reproductive rights, or two, to assume that we have to all hew to a certain orthodoxy. We are 54% of voters. We're half this great nation. We are not a single-issue special interest group. Every issue is a woman's issue. We care about the economy, we care about the debt, we care about education, we care about jobs, et cetera. And so we concluded, I got such incredible feedback to that speech from women saying, help us get this message out, that we've launched the Unlocking Potential Project. up-project.org for any of your listeners who want to go check it out. And we're really focusing our efforts in 6 states, 6 purple states where women are going to make a difference: North Carolina, Virginia, New Hampshire, Michigan, Colorado, and Iowa. And we're focusing on the grassroots because we know that women are most persuaded by women they know. And so we're training women to go out and engage in conversations. We're giving them training and collateral and help. We're going to measure our results so we know what works so we can keep doing it over and over again.
Well, it is sorely needed, and based on I did see that speech. I saw the speech on YouTube, and it was a wonderful speech. And I'm glad to hear that that so many people were motivated by it the way I was. Let me ask you this, though. Of course, looking ahead to 2016, there's a very good possibility that the opponent on the Democratic side is going to be a woman, and not just any woman. There's a very good chance it's going to be Hillary Clinton. And I've heard so many women say, "It's time. It's time," and that's coming from the media too, by the way. How much harder is your job and the job of Unlocking Potential Project if, you know, and when the opponent in 2016 is going to be Hillary? Or does that somehow, in a strange way, make it a little easier?
Well, I think in some ways I would say, it may sound like a flip answer, but in some ways I would say I don't think Hillary Clinton matters a bit to these efforts. It is why we need to start now. I say that because women are most persuaded by women they know, as I just mentioned, and women sometimes respond to an issue portrayed slightly differently than men do. So let me give you an example. Healthcare. The Republican Party tends to talk about this in terms of government overreach, government intrusion, government inefficiency, government corruption. All of those things are true and wrong with Obamacare. A woman is more likely to be moved by a message that says, you know what, you will lose access to your doctor, or you already have. What about the hospital that used to be a network and no longer is? What about the fact that women ages 55 to 64 are going to face the largest increase in insurance premiums of any group of people to try and help pay for Obamacare? So even in 2014, in the 6 states that I named, I mean, some of these states a woman is running against a man, some a man is running against a man, a woman is running against a woman. I don't think it's necessarily about the gender of the candidate. I think it's about the caliber of the message and whether or not we deliver our message in personal, empathetic terms that people can relate to.
And of course, Carly, women care about issues that affect us all, and men specifically too, because if a woman's married and her husband is laid off, long-term unemployed, or is one of those who have given up or has taken a job that pays half of what he used to make, and or a part-time job, and of course that affects the family, it affects women. So it's not just, and I'm sure your organization will also make that point, that it's not just women's issues. If your husband loses his health care, if your husband loses his doctor or his insurance, it's going to affect the family and the woman who is a wife or is under his care. So it all blends together, does it not?
Oh, absolutely. And there's no question that women care about all these issues because frequently in a family, women are the ones who do things like balance the checkbook. Women are the ones who do things like make the health care decisions. Where will my husband, for example, go get his medical care? And so, of course, they care about all these things. I think it's also fair to recognize that we have a huge gap among women, not so much among married women, which is the good news, because we have a lot of married women who already understand why our principles and our policies are better for them. But we have a lot of work to do in terms of single moms, single head of households who are more likely to be female now, and single young women who are not yet married and don't yet have children. We really need to make headway there as well. And we know that, again, women talking to other women is very persuasive, not because women don't believe men, but because if you identify with the messenger, it's easier to hear the message.
Absolutely. Carly, give the website again.
It is Unlocking Potential -project.org.
Okay. Really appreciate you coming on. I hope you'll come back often, and good luck with this, and thank you again.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk to your listeners about this.
My pleasure. Carly Fiorina, ladies and gentlemen, former CEO of Hewlett-Packard, and recently launched really great organization, Unlocking Potential Project, and it's very much needed. And man, she's going to do some job with this, and I feel more confident, to be honest with you, right now than I did before I spoke to her about the female vote when it comes to Republicans going forward. I really honestly do. Okay, last week, all week, we asked you to vote on whether or not President Obama should be impeached. We had a poll going. I gave you the poll site. Today, the results are in. I know you've been waiting on pins and needles. 67% of you said yes, Obama should be impeached. 32% of you said no. 67 yes, 32 no. Thank you for participating. Give Me 5 is next.